What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports Strokes Gained PGA show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm back with my buddy Hoop. It's just the two of us, no AP this week. Hoop, how's it going over there, my man?
Going well. Pretty wild PGA schedule here. So we have the old, also popular Safeway Open this week, and then we go straight to the U.S. Open. So this is quite the contrast week to week here. Safeway to U.S. Open. I mean, couldn't be more of a stark difference. But we'll dive in because, I mean, some of our dudes are in this field that have treated us well. The problem is they're like way more expensive than we're used to. But we'll dive in and break it down.
Oh yeah, you and I are definitely gonna get excited about some of these golfers here. Some of our favorites are in here at like weird prices, good prices, bad prices. But I'm excited to break it down and kind of talk with you about it. Before we do that though, Hoop, I mean, you shipped all the money last week, right? You added some money to our NFL product too. We have a little free roll that we're doing. It's a we have $20,000. $200,000 would be insane, but $20,000 for an NFL weekly.
Year.
Yeah, maybe next year. $20,000 to a weekly free roll that we're going to have for our NFL product. Hoop, you added $500 to the pot. Hopefully we can add some more from your PGA win last week. So tell the people kind of what you did. What was the strategy and what ended up winning the whole thing?
So it really was actually my main team that I played in cash games, and then all the single entry GPPs that did most of the damage. I had some other good tournament ones, but really high on Xander. I mean, he crushed that golf course. He crushes it every single time he plays there. So I was high on him. I had Rom. I had JT. And then, it was the strategy I kind of employed all the way throughout all my lineups, like stars and scrubs, and it obviously worked out really well this week. The guy I got on that was kind of the difference maker was Munoz. Like Billy Horschel was super, super popular. Had super high ownership, and I kind of got on Munoz kind of late in the week. I was just looking at some things, and Munoz was starting 3 under, which was like a 3-stroke difference from Horschel. He was 5,900. Pretty similar Vegas odds. So I ended up getting on Munoz over Horschel, and that kind of did me in. Who was the other guy? Oh, Mackenzie Hughes I landed on. Just kind of all just fell into place. And then I had Ryan Palmer, who was doing pretty bad up until Monday, and then he shot 3 under. So team kind of took off, and I made the joke on Twitter about, people always say, oh, you shouldn't play your cash team in GPPs. Well, I put on there, not only should you play it, but you should play it twice, because in the 555, I entered my cash team twice, and it finished third, I think, for $30K each. So got lucky there, the extra click. So what I did is I built my main cash team and entered it and everything. When I did my tournament teams, I went back and re-entered every lineup I had, which obviously duplicated the cash team. So it worked out that time. Obviously not a smart thing to do, every single slate, but worked out for me this time. It was a good sweat yesterday. Actually had we were at my parents' house for a little barbecue and kind of got everyone involved. The parents were kind of rooting it in, and the wife and whatnot. So it was a fun family affair.
Nice. Yeah, sounds like a good time. I actually did it's funny. I could have had that. I just couldn't get off a stupid Billy Horschel. I had a 2v2. Yeah. It was Xander and Mackenzie Hughes was my 2 that I faded. And it sounds like I faded a terrible combo, but that's not true. I played Munoz and Scheffler, and I left some money on the table. I left 500. I had a solid team, but it didn't get there like yours. If Xander probably busted, I probably would have been more towards the top. But had a little Xander on FanDuel. All around, it was a good one for me. Better one for you, though. You absolutely crushed it. So excited to keep things rolling and talk about this week's slate here. So let's talk about the Safeway Open. Again, it was a 30-man field last week. We're back to like the normal fields, right? I don't know how many are in this event, but there's a lot, right? And I don't know if it's 150 or 120, but there's a lot of golfers. And Hoop, I opened it up. I said, Safeway Open. I expected some bad golfers to be really priced high, but I didn't expect the second highest priced golfer to be Phil freaking Mickelson, man. Yeah. I mean, he is the worst. It's just 10.6K. Siwoo Kim, too, the guy missed her first or last at 10.8. I don't know what to do with this top range, Hoop. There's only one guy I really like, maybe 2. But tell me about this top end range.
Yeah, I mean, for lineup construction, I mean, I just can't imagine paying. Obviously, you're going to pay more for all your golfers this week. Like the guys that we like, we joked about the opening. Our upper 6K guys or 7K guys are now like 8K, 9K. But man, you get up here 10.8 for Siwoo Kim, 10.6 for Phil Mickelson. Like I could never pay those price tags. I think it's easiest fade. You could make the game theory argument, but honestly, these guys are no different than some guys like in the 8K range. Like there's no difference to me. So why would I pay the money? I won't play them. I'm not going to play Lowry. The only guy up top I see myself playing is Brandon Steele. Really good course history here. Brendan Steele. Sorry, I said Brandon. Brendan Steele. He's 10K. Really good course history here. He's been playing well. I mean, he's had some good finishes in tougher fields. At the BMW, he finished 33rd, middle of the field, strong field there. So I'll play him. I'm not playing anyone else up top. I'm going to keep it simple. Like I said, the game theory people will probably try to get on Kim and Mickelson and Lowry. To me, let them do that, move on. Like these guys to me are no different than some guys we're going to talk to in the 8K range.
Yeah, listen, I'm totally with you on that, Hoop. And I like Brendan Steele too. He's the same exact guy I was looking at. He's definitely done me well. I'm definitely kind of a Steele homer a bit. And I play him when it's the West Coast. I always play him in the fall. And in the spring, I'm not really a Brendan Steele guy. And he's just more of he plays better on the West Coast courses. So this is his preferred putting surface, I think, too. He's going to get some ownership and be chalky, but I'm not too worried about it, right? If you can maybe sell me on a guy that's going to be like 5% or 2%, maybe I'd have the conversation. But again, I'd rather just play Steele. I think the other guy I'm kind of interested in, and I know he hasn't been the best, but the stats look good. And it's if he could just freaking putt, man. All he's got to do is putt, is Sergio Garcia. Any interest in him? He's the guy I'm considering at 9.9. Wanted to get your take on him. He's my second favorite guy in this range.
Yeah, I mean, for the guys like, 9.5 and above, he would probably be my second. I still don't know how comfortable. I mean, he's clearly the best. If you're looking at long-term form, like there's no doubt, like he's by far the best guy up here. So yeah, I'm still deciding on him, but he'd probably be my number 2. But I'm not going to have a lot of ownership on anyone up top outside of Steele. Like I'm not paying. Like people are going to make the case for Jordan Spieth. I'm curious to see your opinion on it, but like I'm still just not going to Spieth. Like I don't care. Like it's just been so bad with him. I know he typically plays in stronger fields. This is a weak field. To me, it just like doesn't matter. Like his game just is out of whack. I just have no interest in sweating out Jordan Spieth for 4 days or maybe even 2 days if he doesn't make the cut. So I'm not going there at 9.8. I know people are going to make the argument for him, but I'm going to pass. And honestly, like I said, I'm going to play Steele, maybe Garcia. And I don't think I'm going to go anywhere else at 9.5 or above.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Like those are the two. The one other guy I'm considering is Joel Damon, mainly because Joel Damon makes sense at Birdie Fest and he can get hot, but his around the green game can be a disaster. And if he's going to do well at a field, it's probably one of these fields. So, but it's again, 9.5 for Joel Damon just sounds gross, but I'm with you on Spieth. Like, listen, if you told me Jordan Spieth was 5% owned, sure, I'd have a conversation, but he won't be, right? Everyone's going to talk themselves into it. Everyone's going to tout him up. Jordan Spieth, he's going to turn it around. This is the time against this terrible field. It's like, what has he shown you that he's just going to turn it around? I want to see it first. So I'm out on Jordan Spieth.
And the thing with Spieth, it's like, it's not like it's tough courses that are eating him up. It's just like easy holes, tee shots so wayward. Like, I don't know. Like you're just banking on him making those long putts. I just don't have the interest. Like I don't care that this is an easy course. Like his shots are just so brutal that it doesn't matter. Easy, tough course. Like I'm not doing it.
I think the spot to play Spieth is when he's low owned and when it's a tough course, right? Because he's the guy that can just putt like a madman and just have an insane round. That's when I'd want him. I don't want him on these birdie fests when other guys can go out there and duel with him. So yeah, I'm out. No thanks for me. What about Damon? Did you have any interest in that thought? I saw you shaking your head a little bit, but it's tough. Right?
I mean, I still got to dig. I mean, it's early in the week. We lost some time, obviously, with the Monday finish to the last tournament. I can see the play. Like he's definitely a guy in a birdie fest that can get super hot and win it all. So still deciding on him, and maybe him, maybe a little Garcia, but I will not be going overboard on anyone besides Steele up here.
Yeah, the reason why I'm like maybe not as excited on Damon too is like I said, I like him. I'm interested, but what might happen is as I'm building my teams, all my Joel Damon just turns into Doc Redman, right? Because I'm all in on Doc. That's my guy this week, I think. I like Harold Varner too. I think he lines up well. I think he's going to be one of those guys that a lot of people end up playing too. He can be quite frustrating, but I think he makes a ton of sense. Those are my favorites there. I actually don't mind Streelman as well at 9K and Cameron Davis. Like this is where I start getting excited. It's like from Doc Redman and below. Talk to me about this range because it sounds like you're in the agreements here.
Yeah, like the 9.2 and below is where our guys start coming into play here. And Doc Redman is a guy that showed a lot since the restart, and mostly it's been in, easier fields, maybe easier courses, which is what we have here. He was playing some phenomenal golf. He's 9-2. I want guys that can go out and win. He's showing that he can contend even in fields that are stronger than this. So really like him. His irons were phenomenal for a while there. Harold Varner is always a guy I like in weaker fields. Like he gets in these tougher fields and he can hang around, but he has that one round where he absolutely craps it and takes himself out of contention. I'm not worried about that at this course. Cameron Davis, like one theme I'm going to kind of follow this week are guys that were competing in those tougher fields. Some of these guys, they might be priced up a little bit, but they showed that they can compete in the tougher fields. And Cameron Davis is one of them. Like he was on an amazing stretch. I mean, T12, T32, T15, T29. Some of those events were with some strong fields. So I'll be on him. I'll be back on our boy Burns, gets 4 par 5s. Whenever we're at an easier course with 4 par 5s, I'm going to have interest in Burns. He treated us well. Norlander is another guy, was competing in some of these tougher fields, making cuts. Kind of fell off a little bit, but I mean, it got real tough. The Wyndham and then the Northern Trust. But prior to that, I mean, he was 26 at the 3M, 6th at the Memorial. Workday was a easy field. He finished 31st, Rocket Mortgage 12th. So he's had some finishes up there. And then Tyler Duncan's another guy that I have some interest in as well. So this is the range I'm really going to be focused on. Like I'm going to forego all those guys at the top. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to these guys in this range. I'll kind of stop there because I have more guys, in the lower eights that we can talk about too.
Yeah, and listen, this sounds like that tournament, right? And I think I was messaging this a little before. It sounds like that tournament where we had like Finau and Casey and all those guys, and they were like the 10, just uncomfortable ranges, right? You had Lucas Glover at 9-4, just some uncomfortable range guys, and like we kind of just like played them because it like helped fill out our lineups. But part of me just wants to like go, like I said, to this 9K range, 8K range. A lot of the guys that you talked about, I kind of want to just jam in a ton of these dudes. And I think that's where I'm going to really live with my golfers. One thing I want to mention, if I'm looking at stats this week, I'm looking at guys that are accurate here on this course. And one thing I'm really looking at is birdie or better, right? I want the guys that get birdies, the guys who get buckets, as I like to say. Yeah. That's the kind of the stats I said I think I would be looking at here. And if you want to know a little bit about the course, it's a par 72, and it's around like 7,300 yards. So and there's going to be, a bunch of par 5s on this one. So a lot of chances at those eagles, right? So we want those guys that can score. I don't know if Brian Harmon's here, but he's a guy that can score a ton and, finish T20 and still be on the winning lineup. Those are kind of the guys that I'm looking at this week. You mentioned a lot of the guys I like, though, in that 8K range, Hoop. Bring it to this lower 8K range, though. Talk to me about the guys there that you want to roster. Yeah,
a few more guys that I like. I'm going to take a chance on Will Gordon. I don't think he'll have a ton of ownership. Still just not like a household name, but showed some flashes since the restart and competed in some tougher fields. So I have interest in him. Mark Hubbard, a guy that's been chugging along very nicely. And once again, I mean, he's a guy that was getting it done in some of these tougher field events. And this event is not a tough field. It's a very weak field. Hubbard, I mean, I'll definitely be going back to my boy Glover. I mean, Glover treated us well. I mean, he was treating us well for a while. He's 8K in this weak field. Like, I'm definitely going back to him. You pull up the game log, it's not pretty, though. I mean, 4 straight missed cuts. Like, you're not going to feel comfortable doing it. But I'm gonna have some exposure to. I didn't realize he missed 4 straight cuts. Man, I got really excited about a guy that missed 4 straight cuts. But
he's been bad, Hoop. I was gonna ask him. He has been really brutal.
I didn't realize how bad until I just pulled that up.
Yeah, you haven't rostered him because he's been so bad. It's been rough for our boy Glover. I think Hubbard's a better play. I don't know if Glover becomes like a good GBP play more instead. But ownership looks like he's gonna be low on him.
I might have to revert. I got really excited until I pulled. I didn't realize he missed 4 straight cuts. I'm not as excited about Glover. How about that? We'll pump the brakes on Glover just a little bit. Patrick Rogers is a guy I think that's interesting. I like him at these par 72s, weaker fields, 7.6K. I'm sure Jim Furyk's going to get some love at 7.7, but honestly, man, these par 72 courses, it's not really the spots where I like to get on Furyk. So I'm not sure on him. But yeah, that's kind of about it at 75 and above.
Well, you didn't mention my guy, Cameron Tringale. He's like a guy he's 50 to 1 to win this event. And at that like range, that sounds crazy to think you can find that kind of number on him. I love Tringale here, and he's like such a great cut maker. He's been pretty good in these birdie fests, at least since the restart. So Tringale is a guy I like that you didn't mention there. I'm with you on Hubbard, though. For sure, he's definitely someone I'm going to be getting some exposure to. And I thought you brought up great points about Will Gordon before. Yeah, I don't have too much more else to say with this range. Like Brandon Grace, I'll mention him. Like he's a guy that like typically in this field hoop, like you would think he'd be like 9K in the past, right? Like if it was a year ago, he'd be a lot higher priced. And he's probably not going to get owned because of how bad he's been. Do you have any interest in a guy like Brandon Grace here at lower ownership?
Yeah, not really. Like I'm not. I like him I don't like him at Birdie Fest. Like I like him at these grinded out courses where maybe the weather is going to make it tough, or the weather's supposed to be phenomenal this week. I don't think it's supposed to be super windy or anything. So I won't go there. I do like Tringale. I do like that call. He's a guy I'll definitely be adding to the list. Another guy actually at 7.5 that I have some interest in as well is Hoffman. These are guys, like I said, it's like I just don't see much of a difference between these guys and the guys like all the way at the top. Like you look, Siwoo Kim is 10.8K in loaded fields. Like he's usually the same price as Charlie Hoffman. Like I'm not paying 10.8 for a guy like Siwoo Kim or Phil Mickelson. Like I'll just come down here and take chances on these guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. And like, it's just like, I don't get it, man. I have an Emiliano Grillo problem when he's like low sixes, but like I can't imagine spending that price on him at 9.7. And like Charlie Hoffman's at like 7.4, and like he's a solid golfer, right? Like he's not the worst play in the world. So I couldn't imagine spending on a guy like that. I'd rather take some bullets on these 7K guys instead. Let's get to some cheaper ones to talk about him, like Carlos Ortiz. He's a guy that can hit a pretty decent off tee that I think could be intriguing here in a birdie fest. Luke List, we know he's a guy that can hunt those pins. I know you love the roster from Taylor Gooch, Maverick McNeely at 7.3. I talked about Emiliano Grillo, a guy that's similar to Grillo is Rafa Cabrera-Bello, right, at 7.2. So your boy Harry Higgs, I play him sometimes. Wesley Bryan, I think this is a great spot for Wesley Bryan. So this range is absolutely loaded hoop. How do we sift through all these guys? Because there's a ton of like.
Yeah, another loaded range. Like Luke List, I feel like is, I don't know what his ownership's going to be, but his style of play is just is perfect, I think, for this sort of event. It just feels like to me he's either going to be in contention or just totally screw you and just lay a complete egg, which is great for GPP. So I'll definitely have him. McNeely. These are guys that I'm going to target the guys that are playing well before the restart. You look at guys like Maverick McNeely. He was playing great. The competition became much stronger. Didn't do so good. Harry Higgs was playing great to start the year. And, competition got a little stronger and he kind of fell apart a little bit. So I like guys like that. Wesley Bryan playing some good golf. I'll be on him. Jonathan Vegas, I think is a great play at 7K. He's a guy, these par 72s. He's really good on par 5s. So I'm going to have some of him at 7K. A lot of guys, like I said, that's, that's just to name a few, but there's a lot down here that I like.
Yeah, Hoop, guys that basically are like the first round leader at like 6 or 7 under after the first day, and you said, damn, I didn't get enough exposure to him. That's Johnny Vegas, right? He's that kind of guy. He always crushes in these type of fields. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, Hoop. I think that sums up that 7K range pretty well. I don't really got much else to say on it. Your boy Troy Merritt, I think you like him normally, or Sepp Straka. Those are guys you kind of mentioned sometimes. Any interest in them as some dark throws? Yeah,
potentially. You don't want to overdo it and play everyone in these ranges. So, you'll have to make some cuts. But I'm definitely going to be on Gooch. I'm definitely going to be on Brian. I'm going to be on, Luke List. It just depends. I'm probably going to try to get about, if I'm making 20 to 25 teams, which I am, probably play about 30 guys. So, if I need more guys, guys like Merritt, Straka, I'll definitely look at a little deeper.
Yeah, definitely. Here's one thing I'll ask you. You're not the guy to typically like do this, I don't think, but leaving salary on the table this week, we talked about not liking these guys at the top. How much salary could you leave this week when you're building out your lineups, you think?
Yeah, this is a week where you could do it just because I don't think there's that much of a difference, like I said, between the top and the bottom. So, this week for sure, I think you could get away with leaving a decent chunk I can't imagine, I cannot imagine the optimal lineup this week is anywhere close to the full salary, right? I mean, the optimal lineup this week is for sure going to have some money on the table.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think it's definitely viable this week.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. Let's talk about this lower range, right? Let's get to the 6'9" to maybe like the 6'5" range here. And there's some guys, right? The two that I saw the most that jumped out to me when I was first looking were Scott Stallings and Adam Schenk. Those are probably the two that I had the most interest in. I see guys that we've rostered before, that we like. Seamus Powers, he's in there. Obviously, someone that you'd want to be considering. One guy that I noticed that is normally typically this just feels cheap for him is Cameron Piercy. I haven't played him a ton lately, but I just noticed that was a guy that was pretty decently cheap compared to some of these other golfers. And then Big T's boy, Mr. Chase Seifert, right? 6'6" for him. That seems kind of crazy. So break this range down for me, because I think there's some other guys here to like that aren't priced up as much as they should be.
Yeah, Stallings is one of my favorite plays on the entire board at 6'9". It was a guy that I was just talking about. He was playing great in tougher fields, and now he gets this weak field, and his price is lower than it was in those strong fields. And I know the sites pretty much are directly correlated to the Vegas odds. But Stallings at 6'9", I think is just a really, really good play. Schenk, the same thing. I mean, he's a guy that, was competing in some of these tougher fields, at least putting up a decent showing. He's only 6.9K. I like him. Wyndham Clark at 6'8", I have some interest in. Chase Seifert, like you said, a guy we were on earlier in the season, and he didn't disappoint. Hasn't been great lately, but he can pop up. I mean, he had a 4th place finish at the Workday. Not a strong field, but he can battle, and he's only 6.6K. So I have some interest in him. I thought there was one more down here. Oh, and Neesmith at 6.4K. He's a guy kind of like I was talking about earlier. Those dudes that are playing good to start the year kind of fell off a little bit. I think this is a spot for them to kind of get back on track. So he's only 6.4K. So I definitely have some interest in him as well.
All right, Hoop, I want to mention one last guy to you that we before we get to that 6K range. He was in the 7K range, and we didn't talk about him, but I noticed his game logs are really interesting. His name is, I'm not going to butcher the name, but his last name is Zhang, right? Zhijong Zhang. I can't say it properly, but here's his stats in the last, I don't know. His game card is basically a tie 52, and then it's miscut, ton of miscuts, tied for 10th, tied for 12th, and then miscut. I mean, It's ugly, right? Lots of miscuts, but the upside is there at 7K. Any interest in him, or is it you just like all those 7K guys better? I thought he was an interesting guy. It's listen, if he makes the cut, he's going to just print for me. But at the same time, he can miss the cut.
I probably prefer those other guys, but he's showing if he makes a cut, he can compete. So, you definitely like that at 7K, but I'd have to dig a little deeper on him, but I probably prefer the other guys in that range over him.
All right, cool. So let's get to this lower range. And one of your guys, I know you like to roster him. I think he's a pretty decent golfer too. He's young. He's getting there. Is Mr. Matt Neesmith. He's in this range. Chris Baker, someone I saw Snyder talking about a bit. And he jumped off the page to me when I saw him. I said, that's pretty cheap for Baker. I think he can make a ton of sense here. And then I think there's one other guy. Luke Donald he's kind of dusty, but his name pops off of a name at 6'2" that you're okay, that feels lower. But what are you doing with this lower 6K range? Because I do think there's merit, right? You could throw in a bunch of those 9K guys and then just dive in and take one of these low 6K guys as a build, 5 9Ks, and then just a low 6K guy. Yeah,
that's definitely the sort of build I'll be looking at. And Baker and Neesmith are my two guys down here. They're both 6'4". Baker, he's been golfing pretty solid. He hasn't missed a cut, 5 straight made cuts. One of those may have been a no cut, but either way, he hasn't finished worse than 45th, which that's not saying a lot. But when you're rostering a guy at 6.4K and he finishes, 40, you're happy with that. Some weeks that's all it takes just to have him make the cut. So I like him. I like Neesmith. The problem is you don't have to come down here all that often, at least for what I'm doing this week, because I'm not playing those guys at the top. So I do like that idea, though, like you said, the 4 9K guys and come down here and get one of these 6K guys. So those would be the two, Baker and Neesmith.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. That's kind of what I'm thinking, and I don't think you have to dive in here too much, right? Like, there's a couple guys, my pet players, and it's funny, like we didn't talk that much about this tournament, and I saw you mention a couple guys, and I was like, yeah, me and Hooper are gonna be on most of the same guys, and basically appeal to them. It's gonna be a quick podcast because we're on a lot of the same guys here, and like I look at their Vegas odds on some of these guys too, like. I don't have too many head-to-heads to look at here, Hoop, but I want to look at some of these guys over here that have really good odds to win, right? Like, for instance, like Maverick McNeely, man, he's 68-1 at that price tag, right? Like that seems like a really nice price tag, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's what is it, 7.3, 7.3, and like I said, he was golfing very well earlier on in the year in some of these weaker fields. Like I want guys that can compete in weaker fields too. You see it, like Doc Redman's a guy like in the weaker fields. He tends to do much better. So, I mean, those are the guys I'm going to be looking at, the guys that, typically do better in weaker fields. And then some of these, cheaper guys that are a little more expensive this week, but have proven they can survive in the tougher fields. So that's kind of, my strategy this week, to focus on guys like that.
Hoop, let me give you another guy. We didn't mention him. He's a little bit higher price. Maybe you mentioned him and I missed it, but he's at 9.6. Ches Reavie. If you look at some of his stats, right? Northern Trust, he ended up making that cut. He missed it at the Wyndham. And listen, the Wyndham was hard, but on July 30th, he got 6th in the FedEx St. Jude, and that wasn't an easy one. Made the cut at the PGA Championship. Memorial, he got tied for 22nd. Workday wasn't it? I don't think Workday was an easy one. I can't remember, but tied for 17th. What do you think of Ches Reavie at 9.6? It's a hefty price tag on Ches, but again, like we talked about this week, right? We don't want to spend up for too many of these guys, and he's not in that 10K range. And if you like a lot of these cheap guys and you have money to spend, could Ches Reavie be a guy you look at? Because I think he can make some sense as a good accuracy guy and an accuracy type of course.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled with the 9.6 price tag. I think I prefer Redman, Varner, and those 8K guys that we talked about a little bit more. So if I'm going to play Ches, I'm going to have to give up some ownership on those guys in the 8K range that I like a lot. So I'll probably be off Ches. And like I said, I'm going to be focusing on that low 9 range, upper 8 type range a little bit more.
All right, yeah. Listen, Hoop, I don't have too much more to mention. Let's do this. Let's give your 3 underweight golfers, 3 overweight golfers you're looking at for this tournament, and then I'll give mine, and then we'll pick our winner, and then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, so I mean, my underweight, I haven't looked too much ownership, but I mean, I know for sure the guys at the top I'm going to be way underweight on because I'm not playing them. And even those guys in like the upper 9 range, Jordan Spieth for sure, Grillo, Lowry, Mickelson, Siwoo Kim, I'll be fading all those guys, so I'll be underweight on them. In terms of like the dudes towards the bottom, like I said, I haven't looked at ownership yet, so I'm not sure who's going to be popular and whatnot, but it's easy for me to tell you I'll be underweight on those top guys.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Listen, I'm gonna be underweight on a lot of those top guys. We're definitely thinking the same strategy. Do you have let me ask you this? Do you have any strategy type questions for tournaments, like how you would approach it? I mean, I get it. I know it's early in, but is there anything that maybe you would do that you're thinking based on looking at this tournament that is a smart idea?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of like that idea, like you said before, like play one of those cheap guys. Okay, let's say if you plug in, we said we like Baker, so if we plug in Baker, we have 8-7 left. So I mean, you can just hammer that range that we like and mix and match. So that's definitely one sort of build that I'm going to hone in on. That play one super cheap dude, and then just hit all my guys because that's the range we like. That low, that 8 to 9K range, the low 9s all the way through 8. We're going to hammer a lot of those guys. So that it's just a perfect build to go ahead and plug in a cheap dude. And then you get 5 guys that I really like.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, man. Definitely in that camp. I think it makes a ton of sense. So I know my winner. Hopefully you don't take my winner, but give me your winner. Who do you think takes this thing?
Oh, I mean, I have a feeling I'm going to take your winner. So why don't you go first? Because I have 2 guys. So you go first.
All right, I'm definitely Doc Redman.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, I'm slamming Doc, dude. I haven't bet it yet, but I'm going to bet it for sure. I'm going to be playing. Doc is that guy, right? You watch everything he's been doing. And he's a young golfer. He's since the quarantine, he's popped, right? He's found his form. He's basically starting to thrive, right? He's coming through, breaking through as a golfer, like these guys did, like Victor Hovland did, and he's gonna win one soon, right? Doc is gonna get there, and this is the type of event where Doc can get there. He's such a good ball striker, and I just think he absolutely crushes this one. So give me Doc. I might do like 50, 50 or 100 or 150 lines this week, and I might just slam the lock button on Mr. Doc Redman this week.
I like it. He's probably my favorite on the board. I'll go Mark Hubbard. Really like Hubbard. He's 8.1K. Like I said, he was competing in some tougher events. This is an easy one. He can make birdies, so I'm gonna go Hubbard.
Yeah, I'll say this. Mark Hubbard's a guy I didn't get on it in time. Like at first, it took me too long to get there, but I'm certainly gonna be playing some Mark Hubbard. He's a better golfer. And sometimes dudes, like their name's Mark Hubbard, like he doesn't sound exciting to roster.
Yeah.
But Doc Redman sounds, he sounds interesting. So that sometimes gets to me. But Mark Hubbard, I'm gonna be on him. I like him a ton. That's a great call by you, Hoop. Think he's a good one. But that'll about wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll have the Hoop, you'll have the playbook coming out, your core plays. What other stuff we got going on coming up this week at Run Pure Sports?
Well, it's a big week. NFL starts, and we have some big things planned at Run Pure for NFL. We're going to have all our standard content, playbook, core plays, tiers. We're going to have a kind of consensus ranking thing out. And then the big thing that we're doing that it's going to be announced pretty soon, but we are going to have a whole area of the site dedicated to Showdown content. It's going to feature Tony, who has absolutely smashed the Showdown. I'm looking forward to working directly with him and getting better at these Showdown sites, because I don't think there's anyone in the industry that has had more consistent success than Tony has at these showdowns. So we'll have a show dedicated to every NFL showdown slate, the main slates, the Thursday night game, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. We'll have a video, a playbook dedicated to each individual slate. And I think it's just going to be an absolute print fest. I mean, the guy smashed those showdowns last year, and he consistently does it. He hit again in the NBA showdown last night. One of the best in the industry, and he's kind of taking control of this aspect of the website and made it into his own little thing. And I think it's just going to be a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. And listen, like I got the Big T jet ski video coming soon. So I mean, you're going to see Tony on a jet ski. I mean, that's going to be too good. It's going to be awesome. So you got to check that out. Yeah, it's going to be so good. But yeah, we have tons of awesome stuff. And one thing I'll mention, we got. Obviously, if you want to, if you haven't subscribed yet to Run Pure Sports, you got until Sunday to lock in your price for life, $65 a month, or, basically a cheaper price than anyone, right? Like we're basically offering you, a price tag that if you lock in now, you can have that for good. That way you don't have to spend more than some others are going to have to spend. So yeah, lock in that price, guys. It's going to be awesome. And there's going to be some good stuff behind the paywall, right? You and I are doing a cash game show. We're going to talk about our cash game breakdown. So if you like our stuff, we'll be breaking down kind of some of our thoughts on that. We'll be doing that on Fridays. And there's going to be tons of awesome content over here. But that'll about wrap it up for us, Hoop. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, Safeway Open, it's a good week. I do like this field, but it's a good week to kind of chill out. And, we have NFL, we have the US Open next week if you're a big golf person. So take it easy this week at the Safeway. High variance this week, obviously, with this field. But it should be a fun event regardless.
Yeah, but great thing. If you're gonna play, go listen. This isn't a sponsored show, but go play on Draftkings. The FanDuel prize pools were abysmal, so definitely go play over there instead, please. Yeah. Those prizes are better, that's all I'll say about that. But that'll wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the PGA Strokes Game Show. We'll be back next week with AP, but we got to get on out of here. For me, Mangone, and Hoop, we're out of here.